Alright, so let's talk about the White Lotus Season 3, Episode 2. This is an episode that kind of starts to really get all of the things cooking for what comes in the next season. Just as Episode 1 was an introduction and sort of left us on a bit of a, like, where is the season going? Now we are starting to see all of the moving parts move, and we're starting to see things get a little bit steamier. So let's get into it right now. Like I said, we'll be covering the White Lotus every week, just as we do other shows like Severance and Yellow Jackets. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Stay tuned for our theories of what's coming in Season 3, Episode 3, which will come out this Thursday. Let's get into what just happened this episode. So the friends, they seemingly are not on the same page, right? They are clearly going through some stuff and they're taking it out on each other in these subtle jabs, these indirect conversations they have with one another. Like two friends start talking about the other friend, and then another friend comes, the other friend leaves, and those two friends start talking about the one that left. So clearly these friends aren't really like friends, right? They kind of have like this fake relationship. We still don't really know the whole context of their whole situation, because it seems that they've been in and out of their lives and they are sort of judging from afar, as they all live different, like complete lives. One lives in Texas, the other in New York. So it's just a big difference, and it seems that they are judging just from what they know little about each other. So I'm still curious what really has ignited this like trip. It seems that Jacqueline, the friend, is really trying to sort of like hide something, in my opinion. A lot of people really think that it may be that she is sort of dealing with something, maybe her relationship or something's gone very bad, but she still doesn't want to talk about it that much. Now, one thing they do agree is that they think one of the friends, and specifically Carrie Coon's character, should be hooking up with Valentine, who they think is like a pretty hot person on the island. So there's that whole thing with them there. Let's get into some of the other things that are a little bit more time sensitive, it seems, specifically talking about the rat lips. So Timothy this season is truly in some hot water, it seems, back with whatever business partner he did, which we finally hear the business partner is Kenny Wind, and the voice, of course, is Kwan. If you were wondering who that was, definitely something I was wondering when I was listening to. I was like, wait, could that actually be? And yes, it is indeed, as it has been reported by Deadline. Now, one of the key things we hear here is that Kenny had a whistleblower with him, and apparently they were doing like a money laundering bribery scheme in this like nation where the government and stuff, and Kenny had gone in there to sort of try and make a ton of money, and he had used Timothy to some degree, which also implicates Timothy into the whole bribery and money laundering scheme. And Timothy says, I got in all this trouble now and I'm implicated just for $10 million. And he's pissed at Kenny, who Kenny tells him, hey, you better get a lawyer because I already got a lawyer. You should have gotten a lawyer yesterday, actually. And Timothy is now trying to get a lawyer ASAP, as we see him going back and forth, and his family's wondering like, what is he so tensed up about? Now with the rat lips, you're not just dealing with the Timothy situation, you're dealing with the weird sibling situation. Specifically Saxon, this whole like trip has been really getting into some weird predicaments and really making the vibes kind of off, right? But we also have Lachlan, who is starting to do the same thing, and Piper's the one that's just like, this is just getting too weird, because Lachlan even tells Piper about Saxon wondering if she's ever had sex, and Lachlan wants to find out that himself. And not to mention that at the beginning of the episode, Lachlan was staring straight at Saxon's bottom. So it's definitely getting very sus here with these siblings. I don't know what else to say about that. But we do have Gaitok and Mook, who are kind of starting to spring into a relationship, which is kind of like good to see, right? This whole little relationship blossoming in what seems to be like a ton of rich people and their weird bullshit. So this is more of an innocent type vibe here. But it seems that Mook isn't as interested in a relationship with Gaitok as he is with her. But we do see Gaitok is sort of being like targeted of sorts. And this is my theory here, because we see that a truck rushes by to get into the hotel when Valentine pulls up to Gaitok and starts to sort of distract him by talking to him about a fight and thing that's going to happen, and that he's invited to it. But I think Valentine is up to some shady business this season, and I'm going to have that more in my theory video coming up. But it seems that he was really trying to get Gaitok's attention to him so he wouldn't see the truck rush through, which was kind of like sus to me. Like, why would he just like be randomly knowing when to have Gaitok be like, you know, distracted? But the truck that rushes through actually goes in and steals some stuff from the shop, and Chelsea is there and she witnesses it all. That's how her and Rick get the room comp. But the truck tries to get out and Gaitok tries to stop it once he sees them, but then he gets pistol whipped. So poor Gaitok right there. But it seems that Mook might have also found a bit of a tender spot for Gaitok after this. Maybe she sees him as trying to be a hero and things like that. So we'll see what happens. We've seen in the trailers and things that they eventually do go on at a date. So that could definitely be something we see happen pretty soon. So we do see that Rick and Chelsea go on a dinner with Greg, who is now going by Gary. We don't know the context of that or the backstory to it, but now he is going by Gary. And when Rick asks what has he done and things like that, he says, well, this and that. You know, Gary's pretty silent about these things, and we know Greg was behind Tanya's money, but we still don't know why he changed his name or what's going on, what he's trying to accomplish, right? But one thing that does happen during dinner is Belinda makes eye contact with Gary. Well, Greg, whatever you want to call him. We'll call him Greg just so it's a little bit better, right? So Belinda now seemingly is wondering, I think I recognize this guy. And of course, Belinda was really close to Tanya, so of course she would recognize Greg. So it's going to be interesting to see when Belinda does confront Greg in the next episode, as we saw at the end of this episode in the teaser for what's coming next. And also we see at the end that Rick is now going to Bangkok because, as you know, he is wanting to meet with the owner's husband, but we still don't know what he wants to do there. He just says it's some unfinished business. And we also see Timothy panicking by the end, like he doesn't know what he's going to do. One thing also is Gaitok did hear about Timothy's conversation with Kenny, so I'm curious what Gaitok is going to do with all of that. But let's get into what exactly we are at in this situation. But let's get into where we are at with the White Lotus Season 3, Episode 2. So, first and foremost, Timothy's office is going to be raided by the FBI next week, as we've already heard from the episode preview. And it seems that Kenny is already on the offensive or defensive, or whatever you want to call it. He just said he's going to take himself out, basically, because he does not want to go to prison for everything they've done. So it's got to be a really big thing. We just heard a little bit of money laundering, bribery, some government like things that the government should have been doing, right? And so Kenny is freaking out, and Timothy rightfully so as well, because they got into a pretty huge predicament here. So I think Timothy really is going to start to lose it even more in the next coming episodes, as he's trying to figure out how to fix this. In a week's time, the story is going to break through, for not just from the financial papers. It seems now like the Washington Post is about to post about this. So it's a pretty huge story that's about to break through that could potentially end his whole life, right? So Timothy is definitely on the offensive, and I think we're about to see some things hit the wall for sure. Also, I think that Rick going to Bangkok is going to be interesting to see what he wants to do. He sort of is trying to talk to the owner that he is in the entertainment business. Maybe he's using this to get closer to her and her husband, as he kind of realizes she wants to be in the spotlight because she's kind of fascinated with Jacqueline and all of that, who is an actress as well. So I think that's interesting right there. Now, another interesting thing here is that one of the friends actually recognizes Victoria and says that she saw her a while ago, and Victoria acts kind of weird about this whole situation. So that makes me wonder what Victoria could be hiding. A little bit sus, right? It seems that more things are going to be focused on Victoria just from this screenshot right here. So I think Victoria is hiding a bit more things, and she's always getting drugged for some reason, right? We will probably hear some more of that in the coming episodes. The Ratliff siblings, I think something's about to hit the wall. We saw Piper's getting fed up with Saxon, and Lachlan's sort of starting to come off sort of like he wants to be like Saxon, and he's kind of weirdly fascinated with Saxon as well, which I thought was a big red flag this season as well. So we got a ton of things that are definitely getting very, very strange. A lot of relationships that are starting to hit some boiling points. Like I said, the friends at the beginning, they're not really friends, it seems, and I think that we're about to uncover some pretty dark shit about each and every one of them that they've been hiding from one another, and how they truly feel about each and every one of them. Rick is definitely up to something with this whole thing with the owner's husband. I think that Rick is sort of like a hitman, maybe. He doesn't want to say what he does either to Greg when Greg asks him. So they're both very shady with what they're doing. And I think Rick truly does have something going on here. And we learned a little bit more about Rick's past, as he says he's had a troubled upbringing with his mother on drugs and his father being murdered before he was born. So it's a lot of things here. I've always theorized, like I said at the beginning of the first episode, that Rick may be a hitman of sorts, and that's what he's been sort of doing to make money. And it could definitely be played out here that this is sort of the next hit he has to do. and it would explain why he can't go to Australia, maybe, as he said to Chelsea. I think that I wouldn't trust either what and Greg are doing either. It seems that they are trying to plot and trying to get money of sorts, and they did have a falling out this episode with him saying that she's French and she said she was Canadian, but I don't know if that's part of the shtick, right? But I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Belinda and Greg, because it seems that in the coming episodes, Greg sort of has a fascination with Belinda, as we hear in the teasers and things like that. So I think he's going to remember her, and he's going to realize she was close to Tanya, and he's going to be a little bit scared that she may be onto him. As we know, he was the one that plotted the whole murder of Tanya in order to take her money, and it seems maybe that worked, as he's able to now live this lavish style of sorts out here in Thailand. So very interesting episodes to come. Will we see Ki Hee Kwan in this next coming episodes? I don't know. Would love to see him in there, but Timothy definitely needs the help. He has that story that's about to break through. We still don't know who's the body, but we'll talk about it when some more trailers and things come out this week, and theories as we get closer to it. But next few episodes should be interesting. What did you think about this episode? What did you think about everything going on? I thought it was interesting, and I'm curious to see more what Victoria's really hiding, because I think that that is the biggest like red flag that raised up for me, because she seemed very weirded out and didn't want to really talk. So we'll see. As always, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts, your opinions on the episode and what's coming. Stay tuned for the theory videos next week on Thursday, and make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell. Follow us wherever you can. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.